Hi everyone, welcome back to the stream. It's 10 p.m. and now we'll begin with our first speaker. For our first speaker session, we have Mr. Salman Amir from IBM. The theme for today's talk is Think Outside the Screen. Salman Ahmed sir has worked as a senior consultant on a variety of projects, including mobile, web, and analytics. Armed with a knack for technology and design, he's worked in a plethora of different sectors from government and healthcare to travel and telecom. Sir, I'd like to give you the floor now and you can go ahead with the session.
Yeah, thank you, Sid. And it's a pleasure being with you guys today. Let me quickly start off by sharing my screen.
Sure, sir.
So is my screen visible?
It's loading. Yeah, it's visible.
Perfect. So first of all, I want to start by saying my hearts and prayer are with everyone suffering from the COVID situation in India. And I hope all you guys and your loved ones are safe. I really pray that we get out of this situation as soon as possible. And yeah, I hope all of you guys are safe. So let's go ahead and start. Hello, Ahlan, Wanakam. I'm super honored and super uh, happy to be with you guys this evening. And it's always encouraging and you know inspiring to see young talents such as you guys and up and coming designers who are going to shape our future. So who is this guy now? So yeah, I'm the design director of IBM in the Middle East, and I help our clients who usually are governments, telecom providers, banks, airlines to innovate and transform themselves. But the most humbling work I've done in the past years was with healthcare and mostly around health information exchange and pandemic response platforms for various cities. I'm also a tech enthusiast, so if you guys want to talk about cryptos, sustainable energy, vertical farming, or some new no-code tools, count me in. And I live in the beautiful city of Dubai. I want to start off by saying this is an amazing time to be a designer and for design as a whole. And it's been almost 14 years since the iPhone was released. And thanks to Apple and Google, we have seen an explosion of user experience design as a craft. And we are seeing more companies now making massive investments in design at a rate never seen before. And there's also a massive demand for design skills. To cover this demand, we also have various design schools who've come up with design courses and certifications. The most successful companies of the past decade has used this Apple template to to place human experience in the core of to build successful businesses and disrupt the status quo. Now these high visible brands are not really interesting to me, but what is more fascinating is seeing these design movements emerge in surprisingly unlikely places. So I want to give an example of my own experience with a government entity called Deva. The picture you see here is not an Apple store, but those very few offices of the electricity department in Dubai. I moved from uh, I moved from Abu Dhabi, like a neighboring city, to Dubai 7 years back. And when I moved, I obviously rented an apartment. Uh, so went to the property management company, put down all the documentation, paid the upfront deposit, and got my rental contract ready. And after my contract was ready, after a couple of hours, I get an SMS. Guess who it is from? It was from Diva. And the SMS just said, click here to pay deposit. So I clicked it and I get a page, normal page, where I enter my credit card information, pay the deposit. And after it was paid, uh, I got one field which just asked me like, when do you want to move in? I was like, wow, I put in the date and boom, I had lights, So what Deva has done was in the back, it just pulled all the, verification, my documents, rental contracts from the other government entity. So this is called integration. The next amazing interaction I had with this government entity was after 2 years in that apartment, I moved out. I was moving to a new apartment, and all I did was I opened the app, I found this button called Move Out. I hit Move Out from my old apartment. The movers came in, packed everything up, and we drove to the new apartment. And I stepped into the new apartment and tapped on Move In. And just like that, my electricity subscription moved, transferred from the old place to the new place. Nothing. I didn't do anything else. I never visited their office. And these offices you see are technically just, to show off the brand. And, those few cases when really someone has a problem. So few years ago, this concept of design driven change has been completely unheard of. And as you can see here on the screen, the stakeholders of Dubai Health Authority and their users are experiencing a new way of working. They're using design thinking sessions to solve problems such as, as diverse as diabetes or high risk pregnancy. They've also used design thinking to design research and design principles to radically change the way doctors and hospitals are licensed to practice and operate in Dubai. So what we see here is emergence of design in large, complex organizations like government, military, and 100-year-old technology firms, which signals that design is here to stay. And it's indeed an amazing time to be a designer. So let's get real here. Design right now is a common stream. A few years back it wasn't, but now we have a seat at the table. And in a few years, UX designers are going to be as common as accountants or engineers, as of today. But since we have seen the growth and the huge amount of C-suite positions covered by designers, such as chief innovation officers and chief design officers, how do we up our game as designers? So before I dive into that, I would want to talk about a 100-year-old company called IBM and how mindsets change. This is a circular sent out to all the IBM employees in 1966 by our then president, Thomas J. Watson, who is also the son of the founder of IBM. So you guys must have seen this quote. It's quite famous. It's called good design is good business. And this is where I usually talk about the backstory and talk about IBM and how we've transformed. But I don't want to do that. Then this presentation will just be talking about my company. So I'm going to copy our design VP, what he does. He usually puts everything on one slide and breezes them through. So here it goes. We are a 110-year-old company with around 360,000 employees around the world across 170 countries. We mainly do enterprise technology for business users, and mostly they're all cloud-based softwares. We don't sell ThinkPads anymore, but we do make supercomputers and quantum computers. In 2012, we made a huge investment into our design practice called IBM Design. And this practice is to create a sustainable culture of design and design thinking. Pay attention, design and design thinking are two separate things. Design is done by formally trained professionals, and design thinking is practiced by everyone. We have more than 1,800 designers, and we work out of 50 plus design studios around the world, of which I work from the Dubai studio. We are one of the most ethical companies in the world. We acquired Red Hat some time back. So now we focus on hybrid cloud and AI under the leadership of Arvind. Fun fact, Arvind went to school in Tamil Nadu. And yeah, so what we see here is human is at the core. So at IBM, we give a lot of importance to human experiences. And your screen is technically something which stands between the user and the task you're trying to do. So even if Uber has created an amazing experience and solved a huge problem connecting drivers with riders, in a perfect world, I don't want that screen. I just want to be able to walk out of my house and just sit in a cab and just ride. So to let's make things fun. Usually before any design thinking exercise with our clients, we do this quick session, quick fun exercise where we ask them to design something. So I'm going to ask you guys to design a clock. You grab a post-it, or I have post-its here, and a pen, or paper and pen, and just design an alarm clock. So I'm going to give it, uh, 60 seconds. Sorry, a minute. Usually, if this is a real session, I would be walking around seeing everyone's cool drawings, but what to do? How you guys are drawing, because I just want to prove a fact. So what I've drawn here is like simple, just a clock with two plates to bang when the alarm is up. So this is basically I just designed an alarm clock. So now I'm going to change this question and ask you to design a better way for people to wake up in the morning. So let's take a minute and design a better way for people to wake up in the morning. I'm going to do that too. And let's start this. Let's start the timer. So let me show you what I drew. So I drew someone on the beach who's waking up, with the sound of the beach, some good vibe, nice breeze, and you just wake up, happy. So what do you see here? There are two things. I asked you first, design an alarm clock. And the second thing was design a better way to wake up in the morning, right? So when I said design a clock, this is what usually everyone has in the mind, a clock with a snooze, something to ring bell. So I asked you, and you just thought of a product. But the fact is, it's actually, unless you think outside this product, the idea which you come up with is quite limited. But then this is what we actually had to think of, a user waking up happy and refreshed, correct? See the difference? So what do we learn? We learned that, just focusing on the human or the people problem first, rather than the solution, we get a wide variety of ideas and outcome. And that's incredibly important, So focus on the user first. So over here, this is an example of Philips, who came up with this wake up alarm clock inspired by nature's sunrise, and they use this unique combination of light and sound to make wake you up slowly, and so that you're refreshed when you woke up. So the takeaway here is, you can see how you can come up with radically different products when you detach yourself from assumptions, step back, think of the person you're solving the problem for. Yeah. And we also see making mistakes are okay, but then you have to make mistakes earlier instead of investing a lot of time and money and then failing. It's better we quickly do, a lo-fi prototype. This is kind of a prototype. You can actually draw something, communicate an idea with your team, and see if it works. So basically, that's what this loop represents. Observe, reflect, and make. So which is the core of IBM's design thinking toolset. The next thing is working in diverse, empowered team. So when you share things around, you have to embrace, people with different ideas. To explore more options, you need a lot of different people who come from a different, from different backgrounds with a lot of different shared experiences, and we have a wide set of outcomes. If you have people who are in one room who did the same thing, came from the same place, we probably wouldn't get multiple answers. Yeah. So if you put a bunch of people who just like, I don't know, who are just programmers, they would certainly just talk about one set of thing, and their ideology would all be like one. So diversity in any team is important. So yeah, agreed. Human experience is the most important, factor. So as you can see, the mainstream view is that it is important to have amazing user experience. And to be honest, high quality UX and UI design are easily available. When I started off as a designer 14 years back, we were not as close to the designers who are just out of college now. I'm 101% sure that there are so many amazing designers amongst you. And these days, with the amount of tools and resources available, it's become more competitive. I did not have Figma with an M1 chip with 20 megabits per second internet, a couple of years back. So the fact is, our baseline expectation by companies, clients, and superiors have like gone considerably high. For your information, I have high expectations of you guys for as the participants of this event too. So watch out. The next question actually we really need to ask is how how do we be a valuable designer? Good design has become a commodity. With a lot of good designers around, it's a good design is just good enough. Any designer coming out of college can build an app that's going to be relatively easy to use, no doubt. And if they're just good enough, it's enough. But problem is now that we have enough good enough designers, good enough is easy to achieve, and good enough is not enough if you want to be a designer that stands out. So how do we be more valuable? I'm going to give you 3 traits which will help you succeed in the coming future. So understand the business and product strategy. It's important to understand not just the user, but the business. Of course, you start with a human problem, but the business is also a human problem to solve. Few years back, a designer would only look at design and the user. Everything else did not matter to the designer. Everything is a hindrance to the user. If something is hindrance to the user, it's kind of like a wall to the designer. But now that beautiful UI, sophisticated animations are already expected, it's easy for a designer just to get carried away, and you get pushed into this this role as a production designer role, which, to be honest, will fade away in the future. With the emergence of concepts like design systems taking main stage, it wouldn't take time for AI and generative designs to take over. When I say UX designer, by the way, I also mean product designers because they're quite interchangeably used in the tech world. But being a designer who only talks about users can get you left behind. So understand the business, understand strategy. Why is your company even building this product? Who and what are your competing products? What are you competing with? What's your company's plan to market this product? So look at the big picture. That's the main thing I want to communicate here. So it's very useful to have these information to take the right design decisions. it's given like it gives designers the competitive edge when speaking to especially businesses, people who are not in the design side. I'm not saying you be an expert, but a general idea, to read up on things, do your homework. So the second thing is, after the big picture, it's crucial to understand the specifics on why you're designing those screens, you know, and what goes behind those screens, behind the scenes. Remember the automation work and stuff like that. So, uh, so especially while working on things, complex services done by working on government services, it can get difficult. So often, we crib on why government services can't be as easy as other apps. But the truth is, it's far complex than a cab problem. I know service design is a stream by itself, but liaising with business analysts, service design, you can help largely come up with better designs. The third thing is technology. So technology is an enabler and will always be an enabler. As I said, the UI is something which stands between the user and the job he wants to get done. So minimize it. So if there's no UI, it's even brilliant, even better. But obviously interfaces, wouldn't cease to exist. So by the way, when I say UI, it covers everything. It could be voice, it could be screen, AR, VR, brain interface. We don't know what's in the future. So because all of these are human computer interactions, so let's classify everything as UI. So as a designer, it's absolutely valuable to understand, technology and what they can do for you, like use cases for AI, how AI can help, or what a single page application is. What is machine learning? How can we leverage IoT devices? How can we use automation to skip a bunch of steps? Remember integration, the Diva thing? Remember? Yeah. So that helps things a lot. As a designer, if you know from the behind, you can automate a certain set of things. It greatly helps you take design decisions. Again, I'm not saying create machine learning models and start writing scripts. It's just important to understand the overall architecture. So I'm going to leave you guys with the last thought. Uh, be the problem solver and not the ones who create the problem that never existed. And good luck for today and for the next 48 hours. And I want to say thank you. Also, if you guys are interested in design thinking, we have a free online course. You get certified. And yeah, thanks. You can hit me up on Twitter. I can take questions. Let me have a look at what's. Let's see the questions. Hmm. Waterproof alarm clock which sprinkles water on my face. That's a good one. Didi. Bucket of water. Damn. That's good. So if you guys have any questions, I'm all, I'm open. So, it's the AI to take over UX and UI. I think you could be seeing already traits of it. There are products like I think it's called UiZard, and there's also something Airbnb is working on. It's called I forgot, sketching interfaces. So what it does is technically you draw and it quickly just shoves out UIs from the design system. So basically, just takes away the whole production design thing. So if you have a UI in mind, you just draw it and show it to the camera, and it's done. So I guess that's somewhere which we would see, in the near future. So where does one start with a journey of product design? So that's I think it depends on the career line you're going to take. So for product design, yeah, obviously you start off as a junior designer. That's the in any company, be it internship or as well as like work on your own products. That's given me, as well as like uh, make your own product ideas, post it on, have a portfolio, which greatly helps, by the way. It not just greatly helps as a job, but then it greatly helps as a designer. So yeah, start off by building personal projects, which, yeah, course link in the chat. Yeah, I just go to Google and search for IBM design thinking. So it's ibm.com/design/thinking. Uh, Interview process in IBM. So we have so there are different. It depends on the interview process in IBM are different. So if you're a graduate, we have something called the graduate program, as well as designers have this graduate program. So I guess every year or so they come up with this, and you apply for it, you get screened, and then you have two sets of rounds. Please visit IBM the career website. We always look for great talents all the time. Oh yeah, I heard of the Google UX course. I've not had a chance to have a look at it, but any UX courses helps. But more than the UX course, as I said before, try doing personal projects. That helps a lot. What can we do to get better understanding with technology or business prospects? Oh, that is read. Basically, blog. Read blogs. Follow blogs such as all the tech blogs, TechCrunch. You have YouTube is a great source, by the way. So the whole idea is knowing the new technology that comes out, and then just knowing about it, like generally, what's the difference between React and Vue, for example, things like that. How is IBM design system different from other design systems? It's not completely different. It's just a design system from IBM. We built it for our products. It's called Carbon. It's open source. Anyone can use it. So even if you want to quickly come out with a product, you can use it. It's online. We have great documentation, and you would find the IBM design system in React, Vue, and Angular, as well as in Vanilla. What else? How do you handle it when business executives make a decision which will negatively affect the UX? Nice, good question. So usually that's the reason we have we have something called the garage methodology in IBM, where we engage all the stakeholders, from the client to executives to developers and designers who work together. They come up initially. So it has three phases. One is co-create. So they quickly come up using design thinking workshop. We quickly come up with the use case we're going to work on, and then we have something called co-execute. That phase is we come up with an MVP, but then all this happens with all the consensus. Like everyone is decided and accepted. Like this is what we're going to work on. So basically, that would eliminate any negative design decision. Uh, how detailed should a wireframe be? It depends how detailed should be a wireframe. It depends on the project. Uh, so as I said, like we've worked on, so there is retail UX, you can say, something like Airbnb, or not Airbnb, maybe like Zomato, but there is also enterprise UX, which is a lot different. So wireframing helps. A quick wireframing, with just pen and paper is the most efficient way I've experienced. And if you have a design system that kind of like it kind of merges and takes away a lot of time, wireframe quickly on the board, paper, and then if you have a design system, implement that. Uh, oh, okay. When should a startup make a design system for itself, including color system and design tokens? Uh, so a design system always helps. So the best uh, time to create one is when you substantially have tested your product MVP and you have something out, initially running. So to scale a design system is 100%, valuable. So as a designer and a developer, by the way, when I say design system, design token, it's both design and dev. Uh, to maintain this and start creating on it as soon as your MVP phase is done is totally valuable. What can be the next generation products at IBM? We work on a different kinds of products, so hardware, software. So uh, I guess you guys might have seen in the news the 2 nanometer chip. So yeah, check out our website. We have a lot of products. You can test it out too, especially Watson and so many other IoT services. So how to articulate any design decision to clients? Nice. So so always back your design decisions with data. Especially if you have user research data, that is brilliant. A client cannot come and say, hey, this doesn't work. You can say, no, this is what your client wants, your customer wants. So backing up your design decisions with clients, with data, helps to position yourself with the client. After that, if the client says it doesn't work, then obviously you listen to the client. Welcome, easy. IBM Garage design sprints is primarily made for products by Google, and IBM has something called IBM Enterprise Design, which is kind of different. So IBM Design, IBM Design is made more for like products and services, because we both have products and services. So IBM Garage is kind of like design sprints, but it scales more. So design sprints is short; it's like 1 week to come up with an MVP. But IBM Garage has 3 phases. One is co-create, uh, co-operate, and co-execute and co-operate. So co-execute. So design sprint is kind of like the co-create and co-execute phase. So we have something called co-operate, where the MVP you scale up. So after it goes more than 6 months, so we keep iterating the product and we scale up the whole MVP to a full-fledged product with different use cases. And if you had to summarize the future of design in one word, what it would be? Fabulous Dodge. Are you a Dogecoin fan? One word: persistence. Look at the big picture. Like that's. I think. Yeah. So I'm a second year EC student. How do we get an internship in IBM? All the internships are on the website, and seriously, we look into every application. It's not that we don't look at it. So anytime, keep an eye on the career page, and we look into all the applications. Trust me, I've been in the process. So from your LinkedIn, I got to know you are graduated on EC engineer. Yes, I am an electronics and telecommunication engineer, which is same. So how did EC help you? Oh, definitely. Oh, by the way, engineering has helped me a lot. Engineering changes the way you think. If so, there is a difference between a designer who comes from an engineering background and who comes from a design school background. So, from the design school background, you are all about like the design, the craft of design. But when you are an engineer, it's all about logic. That's helped a lot. So trust me, you're on the right track. Engineering, all the way. uh yeah, I guess that's it. I am, yeah. Please
Hello, sir. That
hit
was,
me up on Twitter if you guys have any further questions. I would love to interact with you guys.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a very insightful session on how thinking outside the screen will help us scale our UI UX thoughts. Uh, if you guys have any more questions, like Sir said, you can hit him up on his socials, and he'd be more than happy to answer. And I think the problem statement will release soon. In about 20 minutes, we'll have the problem statement generator online. And happy hacking to all of you. And have a good night, everyone.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. I'll see you guys on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.